All right, guys, I've actually already got my day started, but I needed to go in and get the camera. I am not 100%. I'm not feeling fantastic, but I got to tell you, I'm absolutely sick and tired of being in the house. It does feel kind of nice to be out here. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and paint some of these parts today. So that's what I'm working toward. I need to finish sanding these 3 control arms, and then these will be ready to be hung up and painted. I'm going to hang them up on wires underneath the carport. These are going to get shot out of a spray gun with single stage urethane black, so it'll be a very durable coating on there, and it will last, it'll resist chemicals and all that kind of good stuff. So pretty happy about that. Let's see, the rear end is ready other than wiping it down, tacking it off and shooting it, but this is kind of how I set it up here. I don't really care about the, not being able to get paint on these perches. I had actually painted these first under here with some black etching primer. So, this lays down on the leaf spring. So as long as there's a couple of coats of something on there, it'll be fine. But anyway, that's how it's going to get painted. But that way it's elevated up off the ground and I can get under it to, spray underneath the axle tubes and everything, get all that shot. I'd already painted this with base coat clear coat black, and it looks fantastic. So I didn't want to have to go through and sand all this stuff and prep everything, every little nook and cranny of that. I'm just trying to save Steve some time or money by not doing as much, having to go in and sand every little area around all the webbing and all that kind of crap, because I've already did it once. So I just taped off the center section. It's got an excellent tape break, and I taped off the backing plate where it's welded to the flange. Or well, where the flange is welded to the tube, I should say. But it'll pretty much be an undetectable paint break on it. So that's the plan. I was going to prep out the coil springs, and I was going to go ahead and paint those gloss black as well, just because I was going to have the paint mixed and ready to go. They were going to need sanded down, and I was going to spray some just etching primer on there and then let them set about an hour and then scuff them and shoot them. But now I don't have to do that. He's going to go ahead and buy a set of coil springs. He texted me this morning, so and I think it's the best move, because the coil springs in this car, I am 99.9% sure they're out of a straight 6 car, because this car always set nose high in the front. I guess if you're into that, but he wants the car to have a little bit of a rake, so he found some lowering coils at Woody's, and that's the ones he's going to get. So I don't have to paint coil springs, because those aren't fun to paint anyway, you know what I mean? So that's one less thing I got to paint, and that's another item that I can just stick in there and start bolting stuff together. So that's pretty awesome. But the other good thing about it is I needed the new bump stops for these lower control arms, so I sent a picture of those to him as well. So he's going to order a pair of those at the same time that he orders the coils. I hope he sees my text anyway, and doesn't order the coils and then sees that text later and doesn't get them bump stops. His over here are originals. They're laying right there. They got all cracks and all kinds of stuff in them because they're decades old, man. They're used up. They're all dry and brittle, so it'd be best just to replace them. These bump stops are brand new for the rear axle, so I mean, this thing is going to be awesome, man. It's going to have all new suspension, new leaf springs, new shocks, disc brakes. I mean, everything, man. It's going to be freaking nice. This thing is going to ride fantastic. He's going to be blown away from, if he even remotely remembers what it used to drive like, he's going to be blown away. This is going to be a night and day difference. So that's the plan. I'm going to do a little painting. I've got the one upper control arm is already sanded. Now these control arms, they do have some nicks and spots and marks and some rust pitting and stuff on them, but they're good enough, you know what I mean? Once the front clip's on and the inner fenders are on, you kind of only see a little bit of this upper area of the control arm, so that's what I'm really focusing on to try to make look nice. And it's trying to save him a little money instead of, going in and puttying all the pits and making them perfection, which it doesn't really need. The money shot is when the hood's open, like if he takes it to a show. So anyway, that's anyway, you know, not perfect, but still going to be pretty damn nice. But man, I can't wait to kick this sickness. I'm tired of it, man. Absolutely tired of it. So I started up my car this morning and drove up here to the store and got me something to drink. And it usually just takes 2 pumps from dead cold and starting it up, and it idles fine. I did the 2 pumps and it didn't really want to fire, and I had to hit it to pump it again, and then it fired up and run. It's pretty awesome. This is a Demon carburetor on here, 4150 vacuum secondary style carburetor, and it has no choke tower on it. There's no choke at all on it, and I can start this thing up 2 pumps dead cold with no choke, and it'll idle on its own. And I only wait about 20 or 30 seconds, and then I put it in gear and back out. So that's pretty awesome. But I have it tuned to where I like it. I think that's just the difference of a person that knows how to tune a carburetor. Not that I'm a professional. I've just done I've done a few. You know what I mean? So it's pretty nice. I like that about that. But I've always liked them Demon carburetors. They're just kind of a little bit better done up Holley is all it is. They basically kind of like a Holley. It takes a lot of Holley parts, but he kind of refined it. You know what I mean? And that's what I like about it. But anyway, so once all the suspension stuff is painted and the new coil springs are here and all that, you know, this stuff, as cold as it is, it needs to set at least a couple, 3 days before I try to assemble this stuff, because that paint's going to be soft from it being cold. It really gets cold at night, so even though it's a catalyzed paint, I don't have a baking booth, you know what I mean? So I can't force dry this stuff and make it hard. I'm kind of having to rely on Mother Nature out here. But anyway, after that stuff sets up and dries a little bit, I can go ahead and assemble that suspension and get it back as a roller. And then at that point, I'm going to go ahead and put the body on the frame. And then I'm going to do the brake lines. I might have already talked about this, but in case you didn't catch the video. But anyway, it's pretty close to being able to get the chassis back under the car, and that's going to be awesome. Then stuff can start flying together, you know what I mean? I want to get all the brake lines done for the master cylinder up here. The master cylinder down, I'm going to redo a lot of the stuff. So I want to do that while the engine and trans is out of it, and then when Jim brings the engine and stuff over, I'll have to get it painted. But at that point I'll bolt, once that stuff dries on the engine, I'm going to bolt the engine and trans together and slip it down in there, and then get the drive shaft in it, you know, hook everything up and all that kind of stuff. But it'll be nice to get in here without an engine in it, and I can climb down into the chassis and, you know, work on brake lines and stuff. So it's going to end up being really nice rig here. So anyway, I just built the whole car in like 5 minutes talking about it. So how cool is that? And now my wife's home from lunch, or for lunch, not from lunch. Anyway, I'm gonna go eat lunch with her, and then I'm gonna come back out and work. All right, so rear end is painted. That paint laid down really slick, man. It looks awesome. So that rear end will look brand new. So I did all these first, and that paint actually dries kind of quick. I mean, for the most part. Dry enough to handle, we'll say. Anyway, I transferred. These are the upper control arms, and those things look freaking amazing. And there's a couple little nick marks and stuff in them, but for what you're going to see with the hood up, that looks freaking awesome. Got the center link sprayed. It's hanging right here, and then the lower control arms are back there. So I transferred all that stuff in here and then painted the rear axle, because on a paint that kicks pretty quick, you overspray things. So I had to transfer it all over, and I am happy with that. It looks freaking good. It's gonna look awesome. It's gonna look really awesome. So at this point, I'm gonna clean the paint gun, and I think I'm gonna go take some more medicine. After I clean the paint gun, go in, take some more medicine, take my dog out, and then I'm going to be done for the night. Thanks for watching.